And just breathing until the top of the hour and grounding and centering. Imagining we're all in a room together, a physical room, sharing this space. Welcome, Sean. Welcome, Duende. Welcome, Danielle. Welcome, Mariah. Welcome, Jim. I did welcome everybody else already. Welcome, Michelle, Karen, Erica, Jeff, Ava, Duncan. Welcome, Brendan. Nice to see you again.
Hello.
Welcome, Alex. Welcome, Josh. Okay. Hi. Let's take a few breaths. Deep belly breaths. Feel our feet on the floor. Feel our bum on our seat. Feel our connection with the earth. Feel a centering of our spine. Dropping down into the earth to ground us there. And then rising up into the sky and space to connect us with the heavens, so that we can dwell skillfully in this in-between space between heaven and earth. Thanks everyone for coming. I wanted to talk about metamodernism and ecology, ecological culture today. And I'm so glad you're here. This was really a chance to get to know one another. And I'd like to share a little bit about our center, and then I'd like to hear from you. So conciseness will be next to godliness this morning, because I also wanted to make this session brief so it's accessible, easy to commit. So we have a retreat center, a meditation center called Clear Sky. It's in British Columbia in the Rocky Mountains. And it's 310 acres, 125 hectares. And we have crown land on two sides. That's like national forest. And we have large cattle ranches on two sides. And we're in, so it's a lot of wide open space. And we're in the Yellowstone to Yukon wildlife corridor. It's a major migration route for all kinds of wildlife between the Yellowstone and the Yukon. And they call this area the Serengeti of North America because there's so much wildlife. It's a wonderful part of our everyday existence here. And we've been doing, let's see, our center's 20 years old, and we've been doing ecological restoration for about 15 of those years. It's been a really great experience, really helped us connect with the land in a hopeful way. And I think what's relevant to metamodernism is I feel as though ecological restoration is a really wonderful response to the metacrisis. It's a really great way to transform fear and anxiety into something constructive, into learning, and into a feeling of empowerment. And in addition, I love the fact that we're very consciously leaving something for future generations to build on. So that's a nice connection with the different aspects of time, with the past, the present, and the future. I really believe that healthy people are dependent on healthy land. Healthy people support healthy land, and vice versa. Welcome, Kurt.
Thank you.
And then from the point of view of Buddhist philosophy, which is our main tradition, then we get into non-duality, the oneness of us and all of nature. And then we get into some really interesting ontological spaces, that what is the nature of reality? And of course, the more time we spend in nature, the more profound mystical experiences that we're able to have. The more time we spend consciously in nature, I should say. And then we get into some very interesting epistemological spaces, right? How do we acquire knowledge? And acquiring knowledge through direct experience with nature for me is a really rewarding space to be in. So that's a bit about me, a bit about us. There's a number of people here from Clear Sky. Raise your hand if you live at Clear Sky. Okay. And we're a residential meditative community. And so we're very interested in conscious community. And so that's us. I'd love to hear from some people who are not from Clear Sky, if the Clear Sky folks don't mind if we prioritize people not from Clear Sky so we can get to know them. If you guys feel comfortable for me representing everybody. So would anybody else like to share where you're coming from in terms of your relationship with ecology and metamodernism?
Kurt gets to live on the Tongva sacred land in Southern California, the San Fernando Valley, and work with Tongva and Chumash peoples to keep this land sacred and rejuvenated. And we have a community that lives in a simple house that is multifaceted and has been treated very much like an ashram that I used to live in for many years. Because we've housed homeless here and we've housed people just in need and so on, as well as people for long periods of time. Uh, the whole purpose of our family is to be able to bring more peace in everything and everything as peace. Uh, so I'll put in some information of the quest that we all have, I believe, and we can then cross-pollinate a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful, Kurt. Please feel free to put if you have a website or other kind of links you'd like to put in the chat. Please share those. Thank you. Welcome, Narayan. Brendan, nice to see you again. I know you're on an organic farm. Would you like to share a bit about your connection with the land?
Sure. And in fact, actually, yeah, it's nice little setup because when is it? Is it? I think it's next week. As part of Limicon, there will be a sacred ecology event that I'll be doing with Layman Pascal and Nick Headland, in which we talk a lot about this topic. But briefly, yeah, I'm in the northeastern part of Vermont. And live on 150 acres out here on an old homestead, working farm and retreat center called Sky Meadow. And I think, I mean, for me, the connections I'm always trying to underscore, I guess there's two of them when it comes to the metamodern and ecology connection. One of them is complexity. I find working in organic gardening and sort of permaculture spaces as a wonderfully embodied way to connect with notions of biocomplexity and appreciating the ecosystems, multiple interacting systems in a way that is just very tangible and immediately understandable. So I'm trying to bring that more to the fore in some of the conversations. And then the other thing is the spiritual component, which is having a kind of spiritual practice in the soil and in the earth in a very, again, sort of embodied way, so that we're all not just hanging out up here in conceptual headspace, but are really getting our hands dirty. So yeah, really briefly, those are two things that are really important for me.
Thanks, Brendan. Good to hear from you. Welcome, Grace. Would anyone else like to share about your connections with ecology and metamodernity? Don't be shy. We'd love to hear about what you're doing. Thanks for your links, Kurt.
I can share really quick a couple of pieces that might be relevant. I'm Jim Dawson and live in Spokane, Washington. And a couple of pieces of it for me, I guess I just really strongly felt like the open wound of colonization on the land and like on my own kind of disconnection from deep roots. And living here in the unceded territory of the Spokane Indians, as well as other Salish-speaking tribes. And we live on a 3-acre kind of urban co-housing village and have been working to restore the land here that we've built our village on. And also I've been working in the community to really figure out what are ways as a transplanted white person to this space that I can engage and work to heal some of those very open wounds that are still very present here. And one of the ways that I'm doing that right now is working with a Salish language immersion school to help them raise the money to build a sustainable campus by the Spokane River. And Salish is a critically endangered language because of boarding schools and genocide and other things. And they're one of the most successful programs in the world for restoring an endangered language through an intergenerational approach. And so working to help them, raise money to build their school and right on the Spokane River, which is sacred to the Salish people, and just trying to just continue to look for how can I authentically engage in that work is really important for me.
Thank you, Jim. That's a great story. We're on the unceded territory of the Tanaha people, and we're fortunate that there's a still visible, they still have a very visible presence here. And we've also been involved with their language conservation, regeneration. Appreciate that. Welcome, Del Gelato. I hope I'm spelling that, pronouncing that correctly. Welcome, Kevin. I'd be delighted to hear from you and your connections with ecology and metamodernity, or what drew you to this session today.
Hi, I say a quick bit. I am Kevin Marr. I live in upstate New York, and I've been working with group partners to establish large-scale agroforestry farms. And we have a couple of farms that we manage, and we're very much trying to take perspective of ecosystem restoration via agriculture is kind of what we're trying to do. So our core crops we're looking at for perennials are chestnut, hazelnuts. We have a number of other nut crops in a little bit more of a minor scale, and pasture. So we move livestock, grass-fed beef through the systems, try to get the benefit of that animal impact to revitalize the soil. And yeah, so this I saw this topic, and this is sort of very much what drives my interest in day-to-day life. So we're excited to meet more people who are interested in it. So that's my story. I'll pass it on to someone else.
Thanks, Kevin. It sounds like you're also working with sustainable economics as part of the ecological connection. Is that right?
That's our goal. Yes, that's what we're working at. And, you know, we established a framework to partner with some very forward-thinking investors to actually go out and acquire a couple of farms with this long-term vision in mind, and to try to demonstrate a model where people who share the same goals can kind of come together with different skills, different resources, and put it towards this sort of long-term framework. I'll put a link to we operate as Long Future Farms, because that kind of summarizes our goal. We're looking to establish something where we can really improve the ecological production of the lands that we work on, and find ways to integrate people working in that system in a way that we can generate some livelihoods and produce really high quality, nutrient dense foods. And
Nice.
so that's the goal that we're working for. And I think these areas have lots of promise, and you know, I would love to see lots of different ways to come at it. And it's so that's what we're at.
Yeah, thanks for raising that multi-stakeholder approach and economics. We also, I think I said we have an abundance of wildlife. We also have an abundance of golf courses in this region. And so that's an issue for us, is these large tracts of land being developed like everywhere. And so how do we provide alternatives that are economically viable or economically appealing to the community, as that's such a strong driver? I'd love to hear from Sean or Alex or Duende or Danielle, Grace, Narayan, Delgalato, if you'd like to chime in.
I can chime in, I guess. I feel underqualified in this company because I don't live on a farm or on a retreat center. I live in a condo in northwestern Chicago neighborhood. Born and raised, however, in New Zealand, where I definitely felt much more direct association with the landscape and with ecology. But I guess I do have a bit of an ecological practice, apart from the fact that Sky Meadow has become my spiritual homeland over the past couple of years, which is that I have a daily practice as part of a broader kind of metamodern spiritual practice, something that I've been undertaking since the late 1980s. And the local shape of that is that we chose this condo particularly because it's right next to a large park, and the park, basically the Chicago River, part of the Chicago River, flows through the park. And I've developed a daily practice of going on a kind of, you could almost think of it as a pilgrimage, which is a ritual journey. It takes about 45 minutes along the banks of the local river. And there are 7 symbolic ritual stations where I every day will undertake small scale symbolic actions that represent various things within my embodied philosophy. I don't think we have time to go into how they go, but that's the nature of the practice. And I do find that doing that every day under all sorts of emotional and atmospheric and other conditions, one does learn. It's a teaching and learning experience.
Yeah, thanks for bringing in the urban experience, which is such an important one for humanity, and the power of ritual. That's so great to draw on. And Michelle Hines, who's in the Clear Sky Center box, Michelle, she's also from New Zealand. So New Zealand's often in our minds and hearts. Welcome, Janae. Welcome, Arthur. Arthur,
Hello.
I'm guessing that's not your house in the background of your avatar. Thank you for people for posting links to your work. Keep it coming, please.
I could chime in. I'm working actually on systems that will underlie the connectivity between us. Like all of these projects that we're all working on are sort of individual life rafts in terms of trying to float to a different type of response or different type of economy or different type of way of living. And so right now we have these systems that bind us that are the existing systems. Like if you open a bank account, you're part of the system. You could say it that way, like very simply. Or if you have a government issued ID, you're part of the system. And then the way you transact with other people is inside of that system. And so I've been working with the bioregionalism movement to try and figure out, okay, what would be the alternatives to that? I know we've seen a lot of network maps, including in this group, and I don't know, I don't think those are actually generating what we hoped they would do in terms of connectivity. And so what I'm looking at is different forms of conflict mediation, different forms of symbols of belonging, identity type of certifications or things like that, so that we could operate in parallel with a different type of economy and a different type of interactions among us. So that's what I work on.
Thanks, Grace. I'm a big fan of bioregionalism. I look forward to learning more about your work. If you have a link that you can post in the chat, that would be lovely. If not, we can find another way to connect.
I don't have a link, but I mean, I'll post a link to the design school for regenerating the earth, which is, you know, the framework in which I'm working right now.
Hey, super. Let's see. Danielle, Alex, Sean, Ryan, Arthur, Janae, El Galato, if you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. And if not, we can unleash some of the Clear Sky folks.
I'm happy to jump in pretty quickly.
Lovely.
My name's Narayan. I'm in the Toronto, and I guess my closest connection to this work would be with well-being economies. I'm a member of the Wellbeing Economies Alliance and affiliated with the Post-Growth Institute. And just hearing people speak right now, I think a question I'm holding is around sort of like the integration between rural and urban, or these things that we're doing where we get to live on the land and be really close to food production. And it seems that a lot of these centers have a strong spiritual element. I wonder what that looks like when, like, I live downtown in a city, and so the kinds of challenges that I'm in is like, how do I mean, I work on like, how do we weed out some of these invasive weeds, but have more people garden with wildflowers and stuff? So it's different types of challenges, but it almost feels like two separate conversations. And I wonder what an integration looks like. That was kind of sparked by the description of this as a metamodern thing. Like, because it's Limicon, I almost just like tune out words like metamodern, like, oh, everything's going to be metamodern here. But as you said it, Catherine, I was thinking, yeah, what does that mean in this context? And that had me thinking.
Yeah, thanks, Narayan. I wonder if you and Duende would have some nice conversations, seeing as he's in Chicago. And more power to you, working with natives and invasives in the city. Great stuff. Can you post links to those organizations that you mentioned in the chat, please?
The Rotary Peace Club, the Rotary E-Club of Peace Educators out of Raleigh and Durham have a pollinator garden in downtown, and they also have brochures and so on to be able to see how people can be more peaceful and so on. I've created one for them on that, and one of the key factors for any peace is, of course, peace in yourself, and that is brought through meditation. And there's a form of meditation that is very Kabbalistic at the same time as holistic, because Kabbalah also is a holistic approach to life. And so that's what we're all about. And going beyond the beyond is only through that. So I so appreciate everybody gathering. And when we not only touch base, but also grab a little snippet here or there and add it to your toolbox, so to speak. And we can all become more clear communicators. And I would actually recommend Ulf Sandström's work on clean communication. And he's also got incredible work on trauma and stress release. He's worked with people from the genocides and the child soldiers and so on, and left them dancing and singing for the first time since those traumatic experiences. So if you have any quest about any of the things I speak about, feel free to get in touch with me, because I just send out all these little notes to everybody to excite them. I actually have had 5 offices of the Institute of Sports Psychology and training Olympians and professional athletes, but also corporate executives. And we use meditation as a key factor, but also nutrition and yoga and meditation. I mean, all kinds of things that we bring in to the workforce. And I've been doing this since the mid-70s. That's what you get for being 94,000 years old, you know?
Well, thanks for all your work, Kurt, and for all the invitations in the chat. We're getting close to time, and so I'll wrap up with another brief exercise, unless someone who hasn't spoken yet would like to quickly introduce themselves before we sign off.
I have a small contribution to put into the mix to the question of how ecological centers of spiritual development relate to each other, and how do we weave urban and rural experiences. And it's a concept that some people in this session have been a part of discussing, but I kind of mostly associate it with Benita Roy and this idea of an archipelago or a spiritual Silk Road. And she just kind of whimsically made these little cards that look like terrain maps. And the notion, and it says, go live together, with a website that doesn't exist. So it's very nascent. But she gave me a whole bunch of them because she wanted me to pollinate, you know, connectivity between people doing amazing work. And we work so hard, we tend to get really deep and then not see each other. But the idea is, if we kind of create this dragnet, and if people, they're looking for something, they're yearning, they find one of us, and then we can help direct them to just the right fit for where they're at on their developmental journey, spiritually, ecologically, or otherwise. And so I just wanted to introduce that idea. And I'll also say that we definitely need to figure out, there's some really great work happening in the Cascadia bioregion that I don't think Clear Sky or myself are connected to. And a lot of those people are here at this conference. So hopefully we can make that connection this month.
Thanks, Mariah. When you say we can connect you, do you mean you and Bonita Roy?
I mean, like someone showing up at Sky Meadow who's like wants to do hardcore meditation, and Brendan telling them to go check out Monastic Academy, or someone showing up at Monastic Academy who wants to learn about Western mystery traditions, and Monastic Academy telling them to go to British Columbia to be with Clear Sky. That kind of, you know, meeting people where they're at with the incredible diversity of different kinds of resources and different kinds of, or, you know, someone wants to work on a farm, someone wants to do agroforestry. You know, one place is going to have a program and the other place isn't.
That's
so,
right.
You know, tied to our environments, there's constraints in the different ecosystems that we inhabit, you know, biologically and and spiritually. So that's kind of the idea.
Nice, Mariah. Yeah, thanks.
I just have a quick thought on that point. I'd love it if anyone would want to send paper materials to at least where I'm at. I would love to have a little rack where, you know, people can see these things, get a little flyer, get a little program, whatever it is, so that it's you know, people coming through these different spaces are able to do that. So anyway, if people are interested or want to do that, by all means, send those kinds of things to Sky Meadow.
I wasn't clear also about the Ask Mariah. Like, are you asking to be connected to the people who are working within the bioregional movement in Cascadia? Because yeah, okay. I know those people. I can connect you directly with the people who are the team that is the bioregional team. And they are working within the design school, which I provided a link to. And I believe that there's something like 50 of them starting the cohort next week, which is a cohort. Anybody who wants from any bioregion can join, but they're starting like cohering your bioregion. I can't remember the title of it, but it's how to bring your bioregion together within the design school for regenerating the earth. It's not my platform, but it's like a small donation per month, which is like $5 or more, whatever you feel comfortable with. But they have like a whole bunch of anyway, I know the Cascadia bioregion is going to be bringing in a whole bunch of people. And if you want, just reach out to me directly and I'll give you a direct link to them as well. And you could just reach out to the organizers.
Great. Please DM me before the chat disappears.
Thanks. Thanks for that offer, Grace. I'd like to be in touch too about bioregions, and thanks for your offer, Brendan. Well, thanks everybody so much for coming. I feel like we're just getting started, but it's wonderful to keep it short and sweet and wanting more. It's nice to see you all. Thank you for sharing, and let's stay in touch. Let's take a few more deep breaths.
Could I say one thing real quickly?
Real quickly, Kurt.
The way we get to be able to leave any meeting is to be able to leave a meeting with this salute. And it's a salute called the peace salute. And we get to be able to send the world exactly what it needs. We
Ha
have
ha ha ha,
all
nice.
love. It's all love. A Zoom peace, and we pull the love out to the world.
That's
And
beautiful. Thank you.
What does it bring? Peace.
Okay. So nice to see you all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for connecting.
Namaskar.
Make sure I got her email.